Hey, shalom everybody. Today we are pruning a grapevine. If you're tuning in, you're here to learn how to prune a grapevine for optimal growth and preparation for the spring season. And Shalom Yel is going to be guiding that class.
All right, so today we're gonna prune these grapevines. We've already done part of it, as you can see, and then do a quick glance, you can see the rest.
It's a lot going on. Now, these are 30-year-old grapevines, and the owner of this property prior to did a great job with training it on the line. It was kind of abandoned for a little bit, and so our first year we did pretty well, but we want to set it up this coming spring to have a really abundant harvest, right? So how are we going to do that?
So, the more air, the more sunlight, the better fruit production. One of the first things that we're gonna do as we go along, as these are hanging over, as you can see, I'm gonna come through and just clean it up so then that way I can actually get in here good, see what I'm doing, and make the cuts that I need.
Yeah, so this is just a pre-cut.
Yeah, this is the pre-cut.
Just so you can get in close.
Just to get in close. So once that pre-cut is done, you can see what's exposed here. Here, I'm gonna go ahead and take out this dead wood. Dead wood takes up space and it takes up, like I say, sunlight and space and oxygen. So you can tell that that's dead, so that's gone. That's some more dead wood, some more dead wood.
Yeah,
so,
point to some dead wood for me.
Okay.
Now, if you haven't pruned your grapevine or your fruit trees, sometimes it's really easy to notice, or if you're putting your hand through it, it might just break off. But you see here, this is some dead wood. Now, what does a live wood look like?
Live wood is gonna look like this.
You got one already? Hold that right there. Perfect. So you still got some green on it.
Yep, and a good way to be able to tell, you can do a little scratch. You can see that there's still green there. I'm gonna scratch this one for you.
But this one, that one also is a little lighter.
Yes.
Right? The bark is a little lighter.
The bark is definitely a little bit
sure.
lighter. Whereas with the dead wood, like I said, I can scratch. That's brown. Just brown wood.
Let me see that. Yeah, brown. Yeah, right on the outside.
Yep,
perfect.
right there. So come through, clean up this. Once I get to that point, now I'm gonna come through and actually make the cut. So how do we know where to cut? We can tell the main stalk is right here. From there, I'm gonna follow it up and I can see the branches that are coming off of the vine. So then from there, I know where to cut. Every so often, you're gonna see shoots that come out.
Now hold on, it's a lot of vines here. Matter of fact, let me get on this other side. Point to the vine that we're working with and point to where it starts off at.
Okay. So we're gonna work with this vine right here, and it starts down there at the base, as you can see. So I'm gonna follow it up, and then from here I'm able to see where it's going. We don't want anything to cross in vines. It's gonna cross a little bit more, but we wanna really encourage good fruit growth. This vine is shooting off far, so I'm gonna actually cut this one down low, and then I'll be able to pull this out.
That's a big one.
Yeah, it's a real big one. But you see, even though it's a big one, there's a lot of space on here where there's no actual fruit production that's taking place. It's not till you get.
And how do we know where the fruit production is coming from?
Exactly. So this is where the fruit production will come from. So we're talking about a good 4 feet, 4, 5, 4.5 feet before we even get to where any fruit production is. So this is something that I would want to take out. If we were to keep it though, from this point, I would go to the second node, which would be this one, and I would make a diagonal cut away from the node. So then that way as water hits it, like once again, it goes away from the node, encourages good growth, everything's good to go. So like I said, we're at this second node here. We cut here in order to get that good fruit production, and that's the best. Ideally, you want to be able to get 3 to 4 fingers in between each one of these shoots, so then that way you're able to space out where the fruit is going to be. Because if it's too close, then you're not going to really be able to get a good harvest like you would want.
Okay, I got you. So if we were keeping this, this would be a branch off of our main branch, right? Where the plant originally started, right? Which was back there. This would be coming off of that, and then we would cut the side branches, because these are where the fruit is actually coming from.
Yeah.
And from that main, from that secondary branch, 2 nodes down.
Yeah.
And then the cut is after it.
That's it.
Now, why again did you cut this one off?
I cut this one off because it was stretching out, and there's a lot of other growth right here. But as you can see, a lot of this additional growth is down here on the bottom, and we immediately have vines that will produce fruit right here, just in this section, where we had to wait 4.5 feet before we even got to one of those. So instead of sending that energy out there, we're gonna conserve this energy right here. That way we can go ahead and have a nice healthy clusters right here in this section. So from here, I'm gonna go to my second node, 1, 2. Once again, cutting away. From here, I can feel inside 1, 2. This one's a little further up, so I'm gonna go ahead and just do it right here.
At that first one?
Yep, just because of the length on it. I'm gonna cut that off. We don't have any more here, so what I might actually do is come right here and go ahead and cut that off. And so, even this one, you see how it's going? It's still right here in this section, so I'm able to get in here. So these were actually, these were leaf vines on this section right here. They weren't actually producing clusters. So now from doing this, this should send the growth hormone in order to actually get some clusters to produce right here and have a nice healthy sac. So we go through, all the way through and do this. So like this one right here, as we were just talking about, there's no additional offshoots. So there's no production taking place right here. This is strictly just for length, just to extend the vine. So what I'm gonna do, find my second node. So 1, 2, diagonal cut it off. So now I can expect to get fruit right here in this section. I can do it even with this one.
And the fruit comes off the node, right?
Yes, it does.
So let's show exactly what a node looks like.
On a grapevine, perfect. So here is a node. 1, 2. Here's 2 nodes. So you see what they look like? These little indentions, looks like a little leaf popping out. And so that's the node. I actually want to cut this piece too. So once you get your branch and you know where it's going, there's nothing that's going to grow here. So this will eventually die. So instead of waiting for it to happen, please edit that. You just cut it off. This is how you train a grapevine. You can actually do very extensive cuts on grapevines. So next year, we'll probably come in and actually cut out majority of this and cut these about right here. So then that way we can retrain the vine, do some maintenance to the fence, and still keep that production.
So now that we've cut all these vines off, what are we gonna do with these vines?
So with these, we're actually just gonna cut them up, as we've kind of already done. We're gonna actually leave them here this year. That way they break down, go back into the soil. Otherwise, we'd have to haul them off somewhere and attempt to break them down that way. This way, they're already adapted to the grapevine, so the nutrients will go back into it and provide a nice layer, a cover layer of like mulch. It'll keep weeds down, so then the competition for the grapevine is a lot less.
Right. Now, I was told that you could turn a grapevine, one grapevine, into 1,000,000 grapevines. And how are we gonna do that?
That is very true.
Because we want to feed our family for generations, don't we?
That's it. That's the key here. So with this one, this is one thing that you could do. I would take this branch. You see about the thickness of it. I'm gonna actually cut here, below this node, and then I'm gonna come over here, cut below this node.
And why are you choosing these nodes?
I'm choosing those 2 nodes because at the nodes is where your rooting hormone comes in. So there's a method called air layering, where if I was just to have this vine running as it was connected and put a whole bunch of mulch on it, roots would actually start to grow out of here. And then I could cut each of these like I just did and actually go straight into planting. Since we're not doing that and they were exposed, I want as much rooting hormone as possible to be present as this piece attempts to root. I could go a little smaller, but like I said, I wanted to have the optimum opportunity for root production. So I would actually take this. Now I'd remove the bark, go to the cambium layer, which is this green layer, just to expose it. Don't want to go too deep. So I want to have a good portion of this exposed, as you can see. And from here, either put some rooting hormone on it, some honey, or some spit, and put it in some soil and let the roots form and grow. Once that happens, then transplant it into its permanent location.
Perfect. And it looks like we've got maybe 2 million of these that we can make. We don't got that kind of time, but if you had that kind of time, you could do it.
Definitely could.
And you really want to plant it directly in the soil, or could you put it in water?
You could put it in water and let the roots grow. But the soil just provides an ideal environment. You know, water's good, it'll grow, but you have to make sure to change out your water. And
it's a little bit more work.
It's a little bit more work. Where this, you can just sit it and go, let the water, make sure the soil stays moist, and leave it alone.
All right, awesome.
And I would actually cut this a little bit. So instead of trying to send energy all the way through this whole piece, I'd cut it right here above the node and drop it in, and so then that way the growth can go forward.
Perfect. All right. So really, whether your grapevine looks messy like this, or a little bit less, or a little bit more, you want your end result to look like this, where we've cut back all the vines. You can see all these vines on the ground. We've cut back all these vines just to the secondary branches. And remember, you got your primary vine branch, or your trunk, the trunk of your muscadine vine or your grapevine, that shoots out into your secondary branches. From your secondary branches, this is where your fruiting vines will come out of, right? In places that we've cut back. And we cut that back to promote all that growth. The energy from the tree, while it gets prepared for spring, will go to the roots. We'll end up pulling more nutrients out of the ground to prepare for spring harvest. There it is, folks. Turning one grapevine into 1,000,000 grapevines in order to feed your family for generations. Check back with us for more tips and tricks on gardening, homesteading, and everything in terms of agriculture.